Baltimore Ravens 7-round mock draft. Let's jump right into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see the daily Ravens content, make sure the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. This week I've got some good videos coming out tomorrow talking about Nelson Agholor. Pretty happy about that extension, 1-year extension for Agholor if you didn't hear. And then I'm also going to be putting out some videos. I'm going out of town this week, but I'll pre-record a couple. One of them I'll definitely be talking about some free agent running back options, especially Derrick Henry. So should be a lot of fun. But in this video today, I did a 7-round mock draft. If you guys don't know, every Monday of the offseason, as soon as the Ravens season end, until the NFL draft, I put out a mock draft every single Monday. It is always 7 rounds. It is always no trades. Sometimes we do trade drafts on live streams and stuff like that throughout the week, but Monday is a no trade 7-round mock draft. I have a lot of fun doing these. I like to switch it up. I went with PFF today, and I'm sad to say this because you guys know I'm a through and through, true and true PFF hater. I don't like PFF. I don't like their ratings. People I think try to use them as statistics. They're not statistics. It's one company's perspective and such. But over the last couple of years, using all of the mock draft simulators and such, I felt like the Draft Network was always the best. They changed theirs a lot last year, and I didn't like it as much as what it used to be. And now I don't even think they have it anymore. I don't like Pro Football Focus, or sorry, not Pro Football Focus. Pro Football Network. I think PFF stands for Pro Football Focus. Pro Football Network. I don't like theirs. The other one, there's some others that are out that are like random sites. They take forever, and half the time I do them, and I'm like, Caleb Williams goes like 11th overall, and I'm like, okay, like, what are you doing? I don't like that at all. But PFF, I feel like, does the best job. I had to get the subscription, unfortunately. But at the same time, I get to talk to you guys about the grades and stuff. So I guess that's kind of cool if people are interested in that. I'm always interested in what they have to say. I don't always agree with it. Again, take PFF with a grain of salt. I don't like their ratings and draft grades and whatsoever. But as always, let me know your guys' mock in the comments. Let's jump right into it, though. Round 1, pick 30. I'm telling you guys this right now. If he is ever available in a mock draft, I am taking him every single time in the first round. I don't care who else is available. Well, okay, if Marvin Harrison's available, I'm taking him. But like, there's just about nobody outside of the top 10 picks that I would take over this guy. And that guy is Keon Coleman. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge fan of Keon Coleman's game. I have him as wide receiver 3 right now. My top 4 wide receivers, I don't have a wide receiver 5. I should probably get one. But my top 4 right now is number 1, Marvin Harrison, number 2, Rome Odunze, number 3, Keon Coleman, number 4, Malik Neighbors. I'm a big fan of Keon Coleman. I've been watching him all year. I followed that Florida State team. I was very upset when Jordan Travis went down because I really did like watching that team. But Keon Coleman was unbelievable. And I felt like he wasn't even utilized properly. If you don't know Keon Coleman, a 6'4", big body wide receiver that is very good after the catch, but is much more refined than, a guy like Quentin Johnston, who I did not like last year. Remember, Quentin Johnston came out and he was, 6'4", great after the catch. He was a project. I didn't think he'd be good his rookie year. I said that many times, and guess what? He wasn't good. Keon Coleman is a stud, okay? He is fantastic after the catch. He's fantastic with the ball in the air. He has good hands. And that's exactly what the Ravens, I think, like to do with their wide receivers, right? They like to utilize them in both aspects, right? Zay Flowers, they love to get him with the ball underneath, quick screens and such, but then they also like to take their deep shots. Keon Coleman can do the exact same thing. Not to the extent of Zay Flowers after the catch, but it's more, he's difficult to bring down. Okay, he's going to fall forward. You can throw him a bubble screen, you can throw him a quick slant, and he can catch it, and he can break a tackle, and he can take it 30, 40 yards. Or you can throw it up to him on the sideline. If you're in the red zone, he's a massive weapon, and the Ravens do not have that in their wide receiver room. And it's not just hey, let's draft this guy so we can only be a big body wide receiver. Because he does other things. He can go underneath. He can make catches over the middle. he can do it all. Okay. And I know people like to look at the advanced analytics in terms of separation rate and things like that, which he did not thrive in. But I think that's more of Florida State's system and the routes that they were putting him in, right? He's running streaks, he's running bubble screens, and there wasn't a lot of nuancy to the route concepts and the route tree that he was running. I don't necessarily think he's an unbelievable route runner, but with his size and his catching ability, he's able to make that work. And all of a sudden, you get him into an offense where he's not the primary threat. Lamar Jackson's the primary threat. Secondary threat is the run game. Tertiary threat is the pass game to Mark Andrews or Zay Flowers. People are forgetting about Keon Coleman. He's a big guy. Lamar Jackson can hit him on the sideline. We've been waiting for that. And he's not a one-trick pony. So, if he's ever available, Keon Coleman is getting drafted by me. And originally, I wouldn't have thought that is something to be possible. But how the draft process has gone is it seems like he's been slipping in a lot of mocks, which is great news in my opinion, because, again, I'm a huge fan. And you guys know me, I usually find guys that I really like in the first round, and usually they rise. Right? Like, I loved Sauce Gardner coming out of college, and when I first started doing the mock drafts, I was like, oh my, people were like, oh, really? You're drafting Sauce at whatever we were, 22? I'm like, yes, I am. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. And then all of a sudden it was like, Sauce isn't going to fall that far. He's too good. Keon Coleman is all of a sudden falling, which I think helps the Baltimore Ravens because he's a great option. And also, we can't let the Chiefs get Keon Coleman. We can't. I don't even care if we didn't need a wide receiver. You just can't let the Chiefs get Keon Coleman. I'm just saying that right now. He's who everybody thought Justin Ross was. Justin Ross hasn't done anything. But next up, round 2, pick 62. This is another guy I really like, Braylon Trice out of Washington. He's an edge rusher. I've talked about him before. I drafted him, I believe, in the first or maybe second mock draft. I drafted him once before. 6'5", good size, good frame, strong physical, good against the run, and very productive edge rusher in college. And I think at his size, I think he could do very, very well in the Ravens system, especially developing him. And he's not going to have to come in and be that primary guy, especially if we re-sign either Clowney or Kyle Van Noy. We have Ojabo, we have Odafe, we have Tavius Robinson. He can fit very well into that mix. He's got the prototypical size and frame to be an NFL pass rusher, and I think he could develop very well in the NFL, but he's not a day one, 10-sack rookie season guy. But round 2, pick 62, I think that's a steal. I think his value is, if you can get him early second round, I think that's okay. Mid second round, I think that's really good. End of second round, I think that's a great pick. But next up, round 3, pick 93, I went with Matt Goncalves. I'm apologizing to Matt and his family. I probably mispronounced that. He's a tackle out of Pitt. Again, prototypical size. I've seen him listed at both 6'5" and 6'6", over 300 pounds. Very, very good. Not this most recent season, but the year before that. He only played 3 games this last season, and it was very difficult for me to find the injury. It took me like 5 or 6 different articles that I read to even find the injury, because again, drafting someone coming off of injury, it's not necessarily great. You don't want to draft all your players that, they're not going to be able to play right away, or maybe it's an injury that can, happen again. It was a toe injury. He had to get surgery. I'm not too worried about that. He played 3 games last year. He played decent in them, but really he's coming out of the ACC, a good conference, especially when it comes to pass rushers, going up against teams like Clemson and Florida State, and even Miami has produced some good pass rushers recently as well. I think that's good competition, or good enough competition. And when I was looking at different rankings of players, the best I saw him was, I believe, top 60, which was Walter Football Analytics. They might have had him top 50 or something like that. And then I think I saw around 100 on some other rankings. But him coming off of injury does suck. But I think he's got the right size. And if the Ravens keep Ronnie Stanley, he's a great guy to be okay, next year next year you can start, right? And he played both left and right tackle, which I think is valuable. Next up, I picked this guy before. I absolutely love him in this draft. Braylon Allen, a wildly young running back. Now, if the Ravens were to sign a Derrick Henry, a Saquon Barkley, an elite running back, do not draft running back, okay? If you sign Derrick Henry, rock with Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell as your backups. That's what I would want. But if we do not, Braylon Allen, I think, is the perfect value pick at running back in this draft because I think some other running backs may go in the second round. Guys like Will Shipley, could definitely sneak in there. But Braylon Allen is a physical running back that is wildly young. I believe he would be 20 years old in his rookie year, maybe 21. He's one of those guys that, kind of like a Juju Smith-Schuster, will come into the league very, very young, and he's not like those other Wisconsin running backs that have been run into the ground. He's been very productive there. He's been their lead running back, but he told the coach after their other coach left, he was like, yeah, I'm going to stay, but you're not going to ruin me. Like, you can't give me the ball 40 times a game like other coaches have done with other Wisconsin running backs. He wanted to have fresh legs in the NFL. That's exactly what he'll have. He's fast, he's strong, he's physical. He's got the right type of mentality. I think he's got a similar mentality to a guy like a J.K. Dobbins running the football, right? And I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of J.K. Dobbins, but we loved him on the field, right? Because he was physical. He was going to try and run through you. I kind of see that in Braylon Allen, and he doesn't have the big injury history. Next up, round 4, pick 134. Another guy I've drafted before, Kalen Carson. I've watched him before. I think he's pretty solid. Cornerback out of Wake Forest. Really, he's great against the run. And, I believe he's better in zone coverage than he is in man coverage. But, he can play the ball in the air. He can get interceptions. But really, this is a day 3 draft pick. I don't know the future of corner with the Ravens. I don't know if Brandon Stevens is staying. I don't know if we're keeping Marlon Humphrey. So I think we do need depth at that spot. But I think we'll also try and sign some veterans to maybe start over them. Guys like Ronald Darby and Rock Ya-Sin and those types of players where we sign them. They can be cornerback 3 and 4. And then we have these backups like Pepe, Jalen Armour-Davis, and I think Kalen Carson into that mix where, again, they're learning under good vets and eventually they can step up exactly like how Brandon Stevens eventually did at that outside cornerback spot. Next up, round 5, pick 164. I went with Jalen Sundle, tackle out of North Dakota State. Smaller school, but I believe he's 6'5", he's like 305 pounds. He was very consistent throughout his collegiate career. North Dakota State is known for being dominant in the lower division schools. Them and South Dakota State really run that entire league. I don't think conference is the right word, so I think it's league. But I think tackle depth is always valuable. I don't think we need a ton of guard help, but we do have Sala, we have Morgan Moses, we have Daniel Faalele, but I think just getting more guys in the building with vets potentially stepping out is always going to be beneficial. And when you're this late in the draft, I think offensive lineman you're more likely to find a hit offensive lineman late, I think, than you are any other position. So I'd rather take those opportunities on the big guys that can develop well, because tackle and offensive line is by far the most about internal development. That is the Ravens' development of offensive linemen. I think the Ravens are good at that. Whereas wide receiver, it's more about the receiver's skill set and how that will translate. Tackle is a lot more about technique and how you teach to play at the NFL level. I think the Ravens are good at doing that. I'd rather take some swings on tackle late than trying to go after, a defensive lineman or something like that where they may not ever get a chance to play. Final pick, I went with Kenny Logan Jr. out of Kansas. A hybrid safety that played in the box a lot as well as over top, almost the exact same amount of time. Good in coverage, good against the run. Prototypical size, I'm going to say he's like 6'2", 215 pounds. I think we need kind of more backup safeties because Marcus Williams, I don't know if we're keeping him because he is a massive cap hit. And then also Geno Stone is a free agent. what are we doing with backup safeties? Kenny Logan is a guy I think we can throw in that mix of him backing up maybe a guy like our Darius Washington or something like that. I'll run through the names one more time. It's Keon Coleman, Braylon Trice, Matt Goncalves, again, I'm sorry, Braylon Allen, Kalen Carson, Jalen Sundell, and Kenny Logan Jr. Guys, let me know in the comment section down below your mock drafts, your thoughts on all the players that I drafted, any players you want me to look at for future drafts. And thank you all so much. Subscribe for more content, and I'll see all of you again next time.